my God. It's like, I don't know. Satan wrote the reviews. It was like, holy Christ, where does it come from? Hell? Be a specialist. Just pick one lane, be the best at it.
You just so we good then, yeah?
Yep. Okay.
It's an honour to be here today in West Palm Beach, as obviously it's a little bit different to coming to the UK on a jet and all the logistics around that for our live experience with events. Now, today is an interview where I want to make it a little bit different because it's coming from my heart. I'm a person who's come from 10 years ago being in the job centre, going through a lot of adversity, to be able to be sat with you today asking you questions, which is in myself a dream come true, and I still pinching myself that I'm here. So a lot of the questions are going to be based around getting up after failure, a bit about life style, a bit about your early life, and just questions about really getting into you and finding out, you know, how did you get through those times of struggle to come out on top, which I know is close to your heart.
That's like a movie in itself.
Yeah.
So where would you like to start?
So let's start at the beginning. Okay, so I want you to take me back to what was life like as an aspiring actor in the 1970s?
Well, it was very dreary because I had been to a couple of acting schools. I had been to the University of Miami, where they basically said, forget it, it's hopeless. And I was relegated to moving stage props around. I was like backstage. I got one little part. And I said, no, this can't be it. This really can't be it. But the teacher said, you know, really think about maybe working stagecraft behind the scene. And I was feeling pretty arrogant, so I literally left that day, 3 credits shy of graduation. I said, you know, I can't buy into this. And why am I sticking around here if he doesn't have any confidence in me? So I left, and I went to Europe, backpacking basically. I just had a little thing on my back, a couple of albums by, who were they? One was, it was Traffic, and the other was Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I don't know why, but in Procol Harum. And I just was walking around Europe, literally backpacking alone. And I said, okay, this is the quiet before the storm, because as soon as I get wherever I'm going, it's now reality time. So finally I was sitting on the Costa Brava in Spain. At that time, it was like, how do you find yourself? Where everyone was into this and trying to, what is the soul? Who am I? You really want to find yourself, reach into your back pocket, grab your butt. There you are. No one has the answers. Life is a conundrum, period. Which I was soon to find out. Literally jumped on the next cheap flight, landed in New York the day of Woodstock. I didn't even know what Woodstock was. And that was a reality check. I conveyed that to my children. I said, imagine landing with maybe $150 into a city with 8 million people. You have no connections, nothing. You have a backpack, worn out clothes, and you're on your own. So I bumped around there a little bit, and I couldn't afford a place, so I was sleeping in bus stations, getting up during the day, or having cops come by. Hey, move on. To where? To what? To the post office? Where do I go? And so that's the beginning that's my introduction into the big city life. Then I was going nowhere. I realized I was going to be a professional extra because I didn't fit a certain mold. I wasn't your classic handsome leading man. I guess my face, my speech pattern, my mouth, I slurred. So it was rough. I'd always have actors, not actors, but agents, auditioning agents would go, do you have a speech impediment? I said, I guess I do. I do. I was born in a charity ward in New York. It was Hell's Kitchen, the neighborhood. It's called Hell's Kitchen at the time. And they deadened a nerve here. So that's why my mouth and my voice is deeper and it slurs, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I said, wow, this is never going to work. So all I had for 2 years, I finally got a room for $21 a week. got a job as an usher for $1.15 an hour, where I thought, you know, no one is interested in me. I'm just going to watch movies over and over and over and dissect them. How are they made? How are they made? What are the tricks? And after a while, you start to see certain patterns in there. And so I studied filmmaking literally as an usher.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Even just at that early point when you're going over them elements, you can see the hardships that you endured even at that point.
It was because I wasn't what you would call a stagecraft worthy actor. I wasn't Al Pacino. You know, these guys had been around for a while. They were really good, and I was raw. I mean, just green onions. So I thought, okay, I have to focus on being a specialist in something, and by image, you know, and everyone should understand how they are perceived in the world. Some people can walk into a room and like own it. It just is that way, and some people are not. And you have to, okay, if you're not that kind of person, then you have to develop certain kind of personality to make up for that. So you're not overly attractive. You're not Mr. Charisma, but you could end up being the leader if you figure out how to manifest certain kind of a stature of confidence. Like, don't be afraid to talk to people. Seriously, you know. And I find a lot of people that have become incredibly successful have very little going physically, but they manifest it in other ways. And the brain kicks in and goes, you know, I'm going to be a lot ballsier than people think. I'm gonna push past my fear. Well, I realized that I was going nowhere fast, and I started to write, and I was terrible. Writing is incredibly personal, and I wasn't trained. I was not a very good student. So I would take a tape recorder to the movie theater when I was an usher, and I would record dialogue, go back, sit on my little bed, and try to rewrite that dialogue. In other words, okay, how would you say it? So I played games with myself. And this went on for months and months and months until I started developing a kind of writing style, which was incredibly clumsy in the beginning. But with anything, it just is a matter of redundancy, continuing to do it over and over until you start to say, wow, I'm starting to get a flow. It's like in painting. I tell people, if you want to paint, the first 15 paintings or 30 are garbage, gonna be garbage. Just own that. But you're learning in that process, like boxing. First 30 rounds, you're gonna get beat up. That's the whole deal. That's
a fantastic analogy, and I've heard that with music as well. We've got a huge music act in the UK called Ed Sheeran, and he's mentioned that his first 20 songs was like turning a tap on, you know, the dirty water comes out, and then eventually it's just good. Like, it turns to clear because you've got through that initial, and then it starts to develop. Yeah. And I think that's a great analogy as well.
Oh, good. I'm glad I'm not alone in there, because I said, yeah. Wow, that's...
Let's go back in a time machine. So I want to go to an age where, as a person, we all come through our teenage years into early 20s. And I believe that the age of 25 is a pinnacle age where it's the decision where you're thinking, right, well, where am I going? Yeah. You know, I need to find myself. You know, I'm not living at my mum and dad's anymore. I need to think of my career. So I just want you to go back in a time machine now and tell me what you were doing when you were 25. And did you know at that point, or were you still in and out of, I don't know what I want to do yet?
Oh, I knew what I wanted to do, but it's just nobody wanted me to do it. And this is the cornerstone of my success is either it's just blind stubbornness, ignorance, or incredible optimism. But somewhere among all of that, I always thought that there's no other option. I said, what am I going to do? Teach phys ed? I wouldn't work well under that system. So I continued to grind ahead. And at 25, I was getting like little bit parts in Capone or Death Race 2000 because I was a certain type. And I was always the gangster or the thug. And that started to resonate with me because I always thought I was Hugh Grant. You know? I thought I was the romantic lead. I go, no, you're not. You're the villain that the good guy beats up. I went, wow, then I said, I don't accept that. Woody Allen beats me up. Then Jack Lemmon beats me up. Then David Carradine beats me up. I go, maybe they're right. Telly Savalas yells at me. Another guy beats me up. So I said, there has to be a character in there that looks like a thug, but is not. He's really a wolf in sheep's clothing, or vice versa. He's a sheep in wolf's clothing. He looks tough. That was the beginning of Rocky. I needed to somehow take what I had going, way people see you, and emphasize that, become kind of a specialist at it. You're not going to be that romantic lead. You're not going to be the De Niro guy. So you have to be that odd combination of potential violence, tough, but sweet, innocent, really guileless, non-prejudicial about anything. You know, he likes everybody. Even if he loses, he goes, that's life.
The people's champion, yeah. Just exactly what it was. Amazing, amazing how that developed. So, again, I want you to try and tell me, how many jobs do you think you had in between, maybe let's say 25 or even 20, to when you got that break with Rocky? Okay. Can you remember how many?
Yeah, I can remember a lot of them. I cleaned lions' cages, which is, it sounds kind of cool and funny. Lion urine is hazardous to your health. It is so potent. Did that. I became a very, very competent fish cutter.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
I was like sturgeon, salmon. I worked in delis, clean out these horrible steamers after a day and a half of corned beef. Delivery boy, usher. I kind of was a custodian in the building I lived in, where basically you chase away other losers like yourself, you know, that kind of thing. So I had a lot of those. And then when I became an usher, I was pretty good at the job, because ushers, I can't tell you how many times I almost got really hurt on that job. You'd have some maniac that would come in at a 10 o'clock show, and no one's in the theater. It's like a horrible movie. And I remember the movie at that time was called No More Drums, starring Martin Sheen. Literally, you could fire off a cannon and not hit anyone. And one guy comes in, huge. I go, you need a ticket. And he pulls out a butcher knife. And I tell you, pulls out a butcher knife, wrapped it in newspaper. I go, let me show you your receipt. So you have a lot of those kinds of things. And then I was moved up to chief of staff. And I thought, wow, I got to do something here. And that's when the mischievous side came out. I said, I'm working for $35 a week. I found a book of passes, and I duplicated maybe 5,000 of them, and I would sell them. So when people would have a movie like MASH.
So that's your entrepreneurial.
Yeah, entrepreneurial. I go, well, we're sold out, but here, 20 bucks. Yeah. And I was doing well until I sold one to a relative of the theater owner, Walter Reed, and that was the end of me. But I realized that you have to have some sort of hustle in this world.
100%.
Yeah.
What age was that then, Sylvester? What age was you?
That was about 24.
24, yeah. So that's at that, you know, that age.
Yeah, I was going nowhere, because at 24, you should. I'm looking at actors today now. They're making it 18, 19. Not even close. I didn't make it until I was almost 30, which is probably the cutoff date. 30 is right there, 29 and a half, 30. But that's, again, all that stuff led to the character of Rocky. Because I did jobs, for example, I worked on the docks, and all that paid off in giving that character some life.
It's amazing how, you know, the back story of somebody's life, like you said, your life is portrayed into Rocky. Like you said, when he's knocking in the meat factory and stuff. So obviously it's ingrained from your own life story, which I find incredible.
I worked in all those places.
It's incredible. I know. It's incredible how that it dictated the actual story. So another question for you. So when you was actually doing these menial jobs, this is how I felt in my entrepreneurial career, because I've done a lot of crazy jobs as well. But did you in your heart think, there's so much coming, I'm not going to be doing this job forever, so it doesn't matter, I'm going to be getting somewhere, but you didn't know how you were going to get there at that point? You know, was it an internal?
Yeah, I think there was.
I don't care about this, but you know, it's going to come. I don't know how it's going to come, but it's going to come. Yeah, and did your family and your friends say you're crazy? You know, or did they support you, or did you have that feeling?
No, totally. I just thought it was a matter of time, and I realized that earlier on, a very important lesson was taught to me by a fellow that I haven't seen in 50 years. And the turning point in my career was I was very sensitive to rejection, seen a lot of it as a child, as we all have. So my agent, whatever it was, I was an extra basically, and I got a job at a Woody Allen movie. Me and another fella who was a little bit shorter, and we were cast as thugs to mug Woody Allen. And sure enough, Woody Allen, when I went up to him, was incredibly shy. He wouldn't even look at me or the other fellow, and he whispers to the assistant director, and he goes, "No, you guys aren't, no, you're not intimidating enough." I went, "Oh, okay." And I was leaving the subway because there was a subway scene, and I went back up on 3rd Avenue. I'm standing there. The guy goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "We just got fired." You get it? We weren't even hired. He goes, "We're going to give up like that?" And I'm looking at this guy who has, you know, guts. He goes, "Well, let's go do something about it." So we go into a pharmacy, he got Vaseline, greased our hair, like put some soot from the subway here, took our clothes and twisted them so they're wrinkled, and says, "Come on." And we went up to the AD, and he grabs him, and I grab him, and I go, "You intimidated now? How about I break your face?" He goes, "Whoa, let me get Woody." And sure enough, that's how I got the job. And from that point on, there was no going back. It's just as, I don't know, I cannot tell you how many jobs I was always the second or third choice. But by the time we came around, I kept telling the director, I said, I'm the guy. And the other guy was a better actor, but he just didn't have, you know, some people have a certain thing inside. I didn't even know what it was, but I just knew I'm better than you, at least in my brain.
Yeah, I think it's passion, isn't it? The passion inside. Something,
yeah.
If you have that can overcome talent, I believe, or that can overcome, you know, somebody that might be a little bit more advanced in an art, but if you show passion and willingness, that can overcome and move forward.
For sure. Like the most recent show I had in Germany with painting. I'm certainly no Miro. I'm not even close. But I paint with passion. And it really comes out. And quite often it makes an impact because people say, "Oh, this is not a passive thing for him. It's like he attacking the canvas." And that's the way I pursued life. Like just trying to rip the throat out of life.
It's amazing. It's such an inspiring story that I think resonates with people all over the world.
Thank you.
Can you take me back to a time, again, in between when you made it with Rocky? And I keep mentioning that because I know that was a divine moment when you thought, you know, we've got something here that could be big in your heart. So I want to know, was there a time before that point when you were sat watching the Muhammad Ali fight and you had the idea, but did you have any other ideas that you thought, that's the one, this is the one, I'm going to make it, yet it turned out to be a failure and you thought, oh, you know, if you did, what was it and how did you pick yourself back up again?
Well, the thing, are you talking about the actual performance or just the dream of doing it? Just
either a dream of acting or just some idea, entrepreneurial idea where you thought, this is going to get me out of this, you know.
I wrote a screenplay called Paradise Alley and I thought, oh, this is it. And at that time I was hanging around with actors like Jimmy Woods and other, Jimmy Kahn. Everyone was sort of unemployed or barely employed. And I thought, this is it. And everyone goes, that's a great script. And no one was interested. And someone ended up buying the rights for $100. So when I went in for the Rocky to audition, I had the screenplay, Paradise Alley. It's very good. We might be interested in optioning this. I go, well, someone else owns it. He goes, well, what do you pay? I said, $100. He goes, $100?
No way.
He goes, well, we can't work with these people, and $100. It kind of like turned them off, so cheesy. And But that, I knew right then, these are the guys I had to come back with Rocky, because they just left that door open. Hey, you can write a little bit. I went, oh, that's all I had to hear. And then I said, now I need a story. And all these elements of working, driving a forklift, being a thug, being slurred, this and that, kind of an intimidating image. That's what people had of me. Let's make a character. Now's the time to put all this in and just mix it up like bouillabaisse, pick a stew, and come out with something that hopefully is original and speaks for people like me. You know, everyone gets judged a book by its cover. You see a guy coming down the hall, and, and right away you start to go, is he bad? Is he intimidating? Is he weird? God, oh, God. And you start to draw these conclusions, literally in 2 seconds. I go, wow, there must be so many people like that. And that's the way I felt. So I tried to create a character that is a little bit of everybody that has not made it.
And that's why I think it connects to so many people, because I think so many people out there have got a dream. And you know, I think the issue with life is that I've done it myself, you know, as an entrepreneur. You know, I've had that idea, and then you work up to it, and then it fails, and then you do it again, and then you fail. But then when you look back at the journey, like you've just said, all them elements make that one moment worth it what it is. And you think, well, I've gone through all that, but I had to at the time. It was unbearable, but yet it's made this what I've got now, you know, and obviously that's what happened with Rocky, which I find absolutely fascinating. We'll stay on Rocky just for a minute. I want to know, when you watched the Ali fight and you've got all these other ingredients that you've built up to this point, was that the final ingredient where you thought, you know, this, and this, now I need to create an underdog situation and create a boxer? Was that the divine moment when you thought, literally, this is the one?
It was half the divine moment. There's been a misconception that Chuck Wepner in the Muhammad Ali fight was the impetus and the inspiration for Rocky. It was just an ingredient. The fact is, no one knew who Rocky Marciano was. That was the ingredient. He was my size. He was Italian. He was undefeated. He wasn't very classy, but he just would not quit. And I go, that's life. Not skillful, the unskillful going through incredible hardship. But if I had mentioned Rocky Marciano when I walked into a producer's office, they'd say, who? So I brought up something that was relevant that had happened literally a month earlier. So they get all the credit for it. Muhammad Ali, at the time, Cassius Clay, was broke, and he did a computer fight with Rocky Marciano. There it is. Let me just take this combination and work with it. And it works. Oh my God, it's really coming together. Now, in the original, Rocky had already retired. He was just a broken down loan shark guy who falls in love with Adrian in the pet shop, and it was that story.
So this is the original script?
The original, yeah. He was past boxing. And I'll never forget this one guy going, yeah, it's too bad he don't fight no more.
So that was just one
moment? That was it, one line.
Yeah.
I go, why? He goes, you know, was he good? I mean, how did he get to where he is? The scar, I would like to have seen him fight a little bit. And I went, fuck. Cut, went home, and gave him his whole story. It literally started the movie off with the picture of Christ and the church and coming down.
Just unbelievable.
Yeah, from that one statement, just anonymous, I don't even know who said it. Imagine if I didn't have that.
No, it's mad. It's just all these little, like you said, it's like there's the higher God, and he's just dropping these little things in. Yeah,
bang.
Maybe he didn't know that yet. Let's drop that in. And
literally, the guy, whoever that guy is, saved my life.
Wow, wow. So when you had that moment of, I've got something here, did you go to all your friends and you know, people at home and your partner who you were with at the time, I don't know, and were you like, no, I've got something here, this is the one, we're going to do it? Or did you keep it close to your chest?
I did. I kept it pretty close because I'd been so disappointed, and I'm kind of the belief sometimes if you tell it, the magic is gone. It's like, oh shit. So I wanted to be more of a surprise. At the time, I was married, and we were so broke. And he goes, you know, it's going to be a nice little movie. You know, I was influenced at the time by Mean Streets and those kinds of films. So I never expected it by any means that we would be sitting here 45 years later talking about it. No, I wasn't that presumptuous. And they didn't want me. I mean, literally, they had clauses in the contract that they could fire me after the first 2 weeks because they didn't want me. And you know what? I understand it. Now I'm in the business for a long time. They couldn't sell a ticket with me. In other words, like, okay, we have who? Yeah, you know, we have this clown here and the other actors who were very good, but they didn't sell a ticket either. So we literally have a ship of fools and no place to dock this thing. So it was a major, major miracle, cinematic miracle that it all came together because everyone in it was great. I mean, it's like they were born to play that part.
Yeah, it was. And
it was amazing.
Everything, the music,
everything.
The love story. I love the love story, and we'll get onto that later. But it's just the whole story of your life to get to that point is just, like I said, it's fascinating and resonates to many people around the world. I've got here that you wrote. Is it true you wrote Rocky in 3 days?
3.5.
3.5 days? I mean, how was that even possible? And what was the process of that?
Well, the process, I write longhand.
I mean, you can see me today, you know.
Those are my notes.
I don't do laptops and so I wrote this on the plane.
There you go. Well, now you know.
Because it's raw, you know, and that's how I deal. And is this something that you did with Rocky?
Yeah.
And did you write?
I don't believe in perfection. And I know that it's a matter of, we'll get it in the rewrite. Just get the structure. And once you have that, it's like the foundation. You have the foundation of the house. Once you have a strong foundation, that house is going to be up for a long time. And even if it crumbles, the foundation is strong. So that's what I tried to do in 3.5 days. I had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And
so what did you do? Just lock yourself in a bedroom? Or
yeah, I sat there with my dog, and at that time I smoked cigarettes. Like 3 packs of cigarettes nonstop. And you know, when you're fighting for your life and there's no distraction, you don't have anything. This is it. This is the moment. And I try to tell people that if you spread yourself too thin, you basically give away a lot of very creative energy, and you're wasting it on foolish jabber or going to nightclubs and this and that. I isolate, I pull back. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just keep focusing. And at night, notebook by my bed. And before you know it, you'd be surprised what you can accomplish without distraction. And even if you are getting like this point where, oh shit, I'm stuck. Put it in your brain, solve this problem. I'll come back to you, solve it. And unbelievably, subconsciously, all of a sudden, wham, it seems to work for me. That's my process. But this lack of other stimulus. When I lived in New York, I tell you the truth is, I lived in a cold water flat, and for 2.5 years, maybe more, 3 years, I never went to a restaurant. I never went to a bar. I never went to a nightclub, any social gathering, nothing.
Discipline, Sylvester, yeah?
Completely. And I had another friend of mine who I still hang out with, John Hertzfeld, who directed that documentary, 55 years. And that's what we do. Sit there with a 6-pack of beer and just, what do you want to do? Where are we going? What's our future? Talking that kind of crap and not wasting it out there. And I think I'm that way today.
I can imagine you doing that with your paintings where you lock yourself away. This is my focus, this one painting, I'm going to lock the family away until I get that painting done. Is that right? Yeah.
And when you hit it,
yeah,
it's like, yes! God, I mean, literally, when you write a great line, you go, oh man. It's like, it. You hit pay dirt. It's like these guys that found gold. You know it. And it's a fantastic feeling, but you got to give up something to get. You can't have it all. At least I found that to be the case.
I mean, that's, again, we're going to come on to success later, but I think that's what success is. I mean, my own story is 10 years of failure and hardship, and to get to this moment to be interviewing you today, you know, I've took it all in with my daughters here, and I've looked round and I've took everything in, and I'm enjoying it. But I think that's what makes success sweet, is going through that journey, because there's a lot of people out there who win the lottery, or they get wealth down from the family. And I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them aren't truly happy because they've never experienced the hardship.
No.
You know, I think that's why people respect you and your success, because you've earned it. And there's many people out there who have their own journey and they've earned it. And that's why we're doing this series for An Experience With, because we want to meet the most inspirational people in the world and find out what have they been through to get to where they are today. Because people are, the general public can be very misconstrued to people who are successful. They think they've just made it, you know, but they don't understand the backstory. And it's like, if people dug a little bit, they'd appreciate that's why that person's success, because they've had discipline, you know.
Oh, there's no question. I would say 90% of my life has been in the failure column. Ideas that were half-baked, you just didn't arrive at, you didn't get that part. Rejection, 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 rejection. And I tell people, you only have to be right one time with the right property, a right idea, and you're there. Forget about the 99 times you weren't. But the thing is, keep going.
Yeah, 100%.
Keep going.
So would you agree that it could be, maybe impossible is a bit of a strong word, but do you think it could be impossible to be successful without failing?
No. You can't be successful without failing. Then you really, no, no, impossible. Maybe in gambling, you roll the dice kind of thing, but no, especially when you're having a startup, ground zero, and you're in uncharted waters, of course you're going to fail. Then you assimilate that and you come back even smarter, stronger. But no, I don't think so.
And that's what is, you know, quite, obviously there's a lot of people going to be watching this who got a business idea, or they want to be a sports star, or, you know, they're quite young. But I mean, what would your message be to them to prepare them? Because they're going to have to fail. They're going to have to deal with that hurt, because, you know, it is a hurt that you pick yourself up, you lick your wounds and you move on, and then you look back and then you're a better self. A lot of people in today's culture can expect success like that. So, I mean, what would your message be to people who've got that idea, but you don't, you know, how could you prepare them for the failure? Would you just say, you know, embrace it?
It's hard because you don't know how deep failure affects certain individuals. And I'll call it the alligator hide syndrome. I believe a lot of the most successful people, or some of the best actors or writers, again, I'm using dancers, I'm using my particular field, will never see, because they came to New York, they came to LA, and they failed, and they got rejection, and they couldn't develop the alligator hide, and went home, had a family, working for a structure, working for a company. You don't have to make that many bold decisions. You have your perks and your insurance and your, you know, this and that, and your medical, and I have a great life. I'm happy, my kids, it's all beautiful. And that's all they want. They don't need the extra horrifying pressure of doom and failure looming that can eventually wipe you off the face of the earth. I mean, whereas they'll take, okay, I'm going to work for this company. I like it. And I could just have my beer on the weekend, raise my family, and be stress-free, and let the other guy who is built for that deal with it.
Yeah, it's...
But there's nothing wrong. Because imagine if everybody was overly ambitious. You'd have a country of generals and no privates. Everyone's like, wait a minute, somebody has to be in the army.
A fascinating subject, which I knew you would give us an amazing answers to. Now, we're going to go back to the love story in Rocky, the connection with Adrian, and the, you know, the amazing characters, how they all fitted together. And the chemistry between you and Talia was just, you know, it was unmeasurable, really. It was literally unmeasurable, that connection you had with her. Even the first scene in the pet shop. Was that in the original script, or did that just develop?
It developed.
As it went on?
The script was the script, but she was not the first choice. And I wanted to go ethnically different than myself, Irish, Jewish, something. So I wrote it for an Irish girl, and that didn't work out. And her name was Carrie Snodgrass. She took another job. I go, you're perfect for this. And then Paulie was going to be Harvey Keitel, and I was looking at Bette Midler. I was looking at Cher. And then I go, you know, I need to feel something. Like, I don't know these people, and they were big established people. And they're going, I'm not working with Sylvester Stallone. So Talia, even though she had been in Godfather 1 and 2, and she's great, she was still an unknown kind of commodity. She was living in the shadow of Al and Coppola.
So just very modest then, yeah, compared to the others with a bit of a...
I'm telling you, when she walked in the room, I felt, I've only felt it like 3 times in my life.
So was you just sat there? She came in?
She came in very attractive in a classic, beautiful, simple way. And hi, this and that. And I'm going, I love this girl. I mean, love.
Instantly, you knew.
Instantly. I said, wow. I want to protect this girl. I would fight. And I went, wow. And then she read, and she, you know, she has that style. That's who she is. Well, this is unbelievable. This is love. I mean, I love this girl. Same thing with Carl. He came in and went, this is the most arrogant bastard I've ever met in my life. He's perfect. And he was. He was such a physical specimen, and I wanted him to be the superior. I got so lucky, I cannot tell you. Burt Young, I mean, just all these like people that never were going anywhere until this all came together.
Staying on Rocky again, so with the unbelievable success of Rocky 1, did you feel more pressure when you started to write Rocky 2 and obviously move towards the release of that?
Yeah, I wrote the original Rocky 2 screenplay was totally different. It started out with Adrian, Rocky not being ambitious and he doesn't want to fight anymore. He's just really happy working on the docks. He's got a little bit of money, and she's developing as a woman. She's like my brain, and she leaves me. She goes and starts with this group. At this time, it was called EST. EST was a group of people. I'm not exactly sure, but they go out and they search for their souls and they meet together. It's kind of very transformative, like transcendental meditation, but more a little brutal. Like, your mother hated you, so what? Now get over it. That kind of like, holy shit. I guess what would they call it? It was some sort of psycho trauma like thing where you flush yourself. And I go, I'm going to throw this in there, because at that time it was like a big deal. And Rocky gets dumped. He meets her new boyfriend, and he's like, take care of her. She's really nice. You know, she likes birds. And I thought, wow, this is not bad, but this is a story that nobody wants to see. You know, I'm going, let me pretend I'm sitting in the theater watching this. So here's the ironic thing. John Avildsen, who had won the Oscar, says, this is no good. I go, okay, if that's your opinion. It's pretty good, but if you think it's no good, he goes, yeah, I want him to be caught up in the life. I want him to start doing drugs. I want to go on the Tonight Show drunk. I want him to do this. He should be Playboy Mansion. I go, no. He goes, I quit. I go, excuse me? He goes, I quit. And everyone looked at me like I did something wrong. I go, this is absurd, guys. This is not Rocky. This is some crazy filmmaker's idea of the trappings of success. Not everyone has to blow it. You know, he's a good guy. So that's when I wrote Rocky 2 the way you see it now. And that's why I ended up directing it. Not because I wanted to direct it. Nobody wanted to.
Because he left.
And they said, what do you think? I go, oh, I'll take a shot at it, sure. And that's why Rocky 1 and Rocky 2, it almost looked like the same movie. I borrowed the same style because I wanted to sort of blend in. But the moral of the story is, it's this constant transforming into something that the audience can relate to. And when Rocky says, she doesn't, I don't want you to fight anymore, I'm pregnant, this and that. And where he says, don't ask me to stop being a man. You're a woman, I'm a man, this is what I got to do, and blah, blah, blah. And And I knew everyone could sort of relate to that.
Adrian, you know, I never asked you to stop being a woman, you know. Please, I'm asking you, please, don't ask me to stop being a man. Please.
Did you start looking ahead and think, were you already thinking of Rocky 3 and 4 at that point?
Yeah.
So you were thinking, right, well, how could I, blend into 3 and 4?
Sequels were considered an anathema in filmmaking jargon. It's like, oh my God, a sequel. It's like, the movie's the movie and that's it. I go, yet I can watch All in the Family or Gunsmoke or so. It's been on for 30 years because the story continues. He has just reached a certain chapter in his life. He's 29, 30 years old. And as we know, every 10 years is major change. So I thought, okay, once you've had a taste of success, Rocky 2 is all about gaining that. He becomes champion. Then the third one, you see where he becomes protected and I don't want to do anything dangerous or get hurt, which is true. And then you develop fear because you realize you've been protected. And the fourth one, which is based on that now you're bigger than yourself. You're kind of like representing your whole country. And the fifth one, which is unfortunately, it's too true with some of these boxers, losing everything, having some brain damage. What I didn't count on is nobody wanted to see that. They didn't want to see Rocky lose it all.
Don't worry about it. We've been down before. I'll get it all back.
I still think I could have made that work, that premise work, with a little bit of tweaking, and I regret that. That's why I was so desperate. To me, the greatest achievement of my life. And for people in business, you talk about failure. Rocky V was a failure. That was 1990. And it was the beginning of a real down period. Oh, it's over. It kind of put a cloud over the whole, oh, this is the way you end the series. And for 16 years, it festered in me. I like boiled. And my career started to go down. And nobody wanted to do any more Rockies. Now you're almost 59 years old. No one cares about you and the character. It's old. There's an entire generation that's grown up, has no idea who Rocky is, really. I go, but there are a lot of people who do remember, and I'm dealing with something that it has nothing to do with boxing. It has to do with loss. The older we get, the more we lose. And it's really rough. We don't forget about it. Up until 40 years old, it's all about acquiring. Then from 40 to say 50 to 60, it's like keeping. Then after that, it's diminishing. Children move on, jobs are lost, health wanes, friends die. It's rough. And that's why I said Rocky Balboa is the most important one I will ever do. It really, no one wanted to do it. I mean, it was insulting. You're finished, Rocky's finished. I mean, studio hits. I'm going, this is the same guy that was my friend, but not anymore. And it was a fluke. And I won't go into a long story, but to get that opportunity, and it turned out to be my second favorite.
The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
So I've got structure here, but because we're speaking about that, I want to speak about the lockdown. When we went into lockdown with the pandemic, you've gone from being so busy and going all over the world, and you're stuck at home and you're having time with Jennifer and the kids, which, for me and a lot of people around the world, it was a valuable time because it made you reflect.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
So is that the reason in the lockdown where the idea came to do the edit for Rocky IV?
Yeah, it did.
The director's cut.
I thought, yes. I would have liked to have done all of them, but I wish that was the one I had released.
We watched it last week as a team.
Oh, you liked it?
It was just unbelievable. And it's just incredible how you've taken a film which is, it's a masterclass anyway, but made it better. You've actually made it better. It's clean. So my question again is, because it's been such a success and all the Rocky fans watching this will just be like, we want more. Are you going to do it with any of your other hits? Is it on the cards? Is it too hard to do, or do you need a lot of time?
No. To me, it's very cathartic. It's great. I wish I could do that with my own life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So since I can't, maybe we can do it with my characters. Is
it like a one where you're not sure?
Well, yeah, the studios, it gets down to money, and it had already made money, so everything was all profit. That's why I chose Rocky IV. If I had said, "Oh, let's recut Rocky V," which I would love to, they would have said, "No,
right.
It doesn't pay for us to do that just for your edification." So, but there are a couple, like Nighthawks to me is one of the most underrated films I've ever done. And that was the beginning of urban terrorism. The critics and everyone just came down on me. How absurd. Terrorism in New York? Wall Street? Really? And I said, it's coming. There's the one I would love to get. But no, it's probably not going to happen again. I wish, but it won't.
Well, I think everyone would love to see it, but again, it's just down to you.
I'll ask them today. I'll call back. And they'll go, get lost.
So we're going to go back to success again. Yeah. With success comes a lot of jealousy, a lot of haters, and the feeling you can't trust anyone. Did this happen to you when you did make it? Because you've gone from nobody backing you to boom. If it did, how did you cope with them emotions and the people putting you down, or just that general hate when people succeed? Because you do get people that do that.
Oh yeah, I lashed out.
So you was very
combative and retaliatory, no doubt about it. And when I read some of my old interviews, I'm mortified. But this was your classic backlash that I think a lot of people feel, but a lot of people are smart enough not to act on it. But there's no question that everyone who has been in any business, when you finally make it, you just want to go, yeah. When you see fighters after every fight,
and you want to just say to all the people that doubted you that.
Now all the doubters, I told you, that's what I love. Like with Tyson Fury, I look at him, I said, he's unbelievable. Forget his boxing skills. What he had to overcome itself was miraculous. The fact that he's the toughest man in the world, beyond comprehension. This is a man who could give classes in every aspect of physicality and spirituality and emotion. Revival. Emotional revival is amazing. So I think I did that. I turned a lot of people against me. Yeah, we like Rocky, we don't like him.
You think that comes with inexperience though? Because obviously now you'd have just been like,
I know.
What's the point in reacting?
I needed someone in my ear, like if I was married at the time, go calm down, kind of a thing. And I really set a tone for arrogance. I just thought I knew everything, and it just didn't work. So that caused a lot of damage. So I believe the mini films I did after that, there was a anger. So we'd have some people reviewing these films, and they're coming from I'm going to teach this guy a lesson a little bit.
Yeah.
And I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Just stupid. Inexperience, and like you said, I should imagine now with your experience, you'll just God. Yeah. So again, this is a question that's quite far on. So nowadays, social media is such a big part of everything. Yeah. Whether it's a movie release, whether it's an album launch for a music artist or a business launch for anybody, social media, you're in the limelight. Yeah. So how do you think you would have coped if back when Rocky came and you catapulted into stardom, how do you think you would have coped back then if social media was around and you can see, good or bad, these comments, in a lot more heightened way of what you had back then? Because obviously it was just a lot of hearsay, but I mean, now people make success, they can be obsessive. Are you talking about the actual, like if I had spouted off back then the way I did I mean, today, the way back then.
Yeah, just more that if social media existed when you made it, how do you think you could have coped with the, being able to see what everyone thought of you and what did they think of that film and, physically see the comments?
No, it would be rough.
Yeah.
It would be very, very rough because a lot of it, the truth hurts. And of course, you're in denial. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to take the words out of text.
Yeah.
They re-edited it. Today, I probably would have, it would have been pretty bad because Rocky was so beloved. And they go, look at this arrogant guy. He should be grateful. And I get it. So it's tougher today in social media, I think, to, first of all, have any mystique. The element of surprise is pretty much gone. And I think it's the artists are very susceptible to being humiliated or, criticized, and they take it to heart. I mean, you see, they go off the rails.
So let's keep on the route of when you actually, you've made it and you catapult into stardom.
All right.
Did you get scared? And did you have times when you thought, you wish you could go back to being an unknown just for one day even?
Never.
Never?
No.
No, but I don't mean it.
I
mean, like,
I had 30 years of that. I went, all right, I'm good. I'm good.
But with regards to being, like, known, though.
I missed that, yes. Once you walk into the room, people are watching how you eat. No, I'm not going back.
So we're going to talk about business a little bit now. So money makes the world go around.
Yeah.
Did you ever suffer times in the early days with legal letters, debt collectors, and how you're going to get the money to get together to pay the rent? I know you did all that in the early days, but
it's funny. I never overextended myself, even though I told you, 1970, 71, the salary was at that time, minimum was $1.15 an hour. Just ridiculous. I think now it's 15 an hour,
yeah,
16 an hour. So it was just enough to get by. You buy a pound of cottage cheese, half a chicken. That's what you ate 365 days a year.
Yeah.
In other words, I maintained that. And the room, the rent, $70 a month. So I could just, and the rest of the time was spent pursuing writing, because the acting was just not happening.
No.
Zero. No, I almost given that up. That was a fluke. As a matter of fact, it was an accident when this fellow who did the documentary on the making of Rocky IV, he was in an acting class with Herbert Berghoff, who was a very important teacher at the time. And he goes, would you help me audition for Of Mice and Men? So I said, sure. And I was going to play the fellow who was mentally impaired. Lenny, rabbit, nice rabbit.
Yeah.
So I did it, and I thought it was just like, okay, I'm helping him out. So they offer me, they go, do you sing opera? I go, why? Because your voice is deep and this and that. And they're not talking to my friend here. I'm getting embarrassed because it's his class. Anyway, he goes, would you like to study? I go, no, that's okay anyway. So I went my own way. My friend, of course, is a little put out. But in the audience was the director of Lloyd to Flatbush. So it was a fluke. Now, my friend was, like I said, angry. So for a year, we didn't talk. I didn't have a phone. The director, who was in the audience, tracked him down. He goes, whatever happened to your friend with the deep voice? I'd like him to be in a movie. He goes, wait a minute. It's my class. You're asking me, who I'm having a fight with this guy, to go find him so you can make him an actor? Thank you. So anyway, he did. He knocked on my door. That was the beginning of my acting career. It was a fluke. And then one thing led to another, and my battles. Again, that was another part that it was like me and Richard Gere. I said, one of us has got to go. And he went. So it was just one of those things. He wanted this part, I wanted this part, and it got to that kind of a point. And I told you my whole life, it was like, you keep punching. You can't give up. And it finally came to a head, and I got the part, and I never looked back.
Amazing, fascinating, just absolutely fascinating. Thanks. So with the trust issues and obviously being through the struggle, Did you struggle to trust people? Did you have a small circle of friends?
I wish I had. I trusted too many people.
Did you trust?
Yeah, I think it's a big problem. Don't DTA. Don't trust anybody. Now, of course, that sounds very callous and cold, and not a good way to live. But what got you here were your instincts and your heart and your brains, and all of a sudden, because this person here happens to be with this organization, that organization, or he has a law degree, you think he's smarter than you. So whatever he says, oh yeah, his advice. And you wonder how people sometimes get put in poor films or this or that or bad investments. They trust this guy so much that they're willing to put up their hard-earned money and time on his suggestion. And I say, take it, but hold back and really investigate, look at his record, his lawsuits, this, that. He's flesh and blood too. I mean, if he knew everything, he'd be the richest man in the world. So obviously he's not. So be cautious. I was not. I thought these guys are your friends. They love you.
But again, that's naivety, would you say that?
Naivete. You just wanted to be loved. You live in the shadows. You live with rejection so much that you go into a situation, I don't care what anyone says, actors need to be loved. The reason a lot of them are not actors, and I know I've got a lot of shit for this, but so be it. It's true. A lot of these actors, including myself, came up deprived of that kind of affection. So they they seek gratification from strangers even. It's this adoration. So when they're criticized, you're bringing up a lot of skeletons. It's like, oh shit, I grew up with this. And it spins them out, as opposed to being raised with a very, very secure father, mother, family. You know, I look at that stuff and go, wow, what a lucky person. The mother's at the game, the father's at the game, and you're a good kid. You're very supportive. Because I believe that damage that happens 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old is irreparable. It is. Just never get over it. I don't care what it is. You see all the shrinks in your world. That's just a veil, a facade. But the damage is there, and it's never going to go away. And it affects your relationships with the opposite sex earlier, further along down the road. And hopefully you don't do the same thing with your children. You hope. Every now and then you got to give them one of them. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Joking.
We're going to go into a few little general questions here. So Florida is amazing. We're here today, and views and everything else. Do you actually prefer living here now than when you did in LA?
Yeah, I think it's a healthier environment because in LA, think about the town. The town was founded on dreams. And the town has also supported, the foundation is broken dreams. Thousands, millions of hearts have been shattered out there. And you are the product. And that has a time limit on it. You're only going to be valid for so long, and then your shelf life is over. So you take an entire industry and it's compressed into this area. It's a lot of angst, a lot of competition, a lot of fear, a lot of skullduggery. And I thought, I as I have passed I'm 75, I said, there's not that much runway up ahead. I want to be someplace where not everyone's in the business, that other people are here that have created their own worlds, and acting is not part of it. So you're kind of an anomaly, and I love that.
Amazing, yeah. You can feel the energy here. It's like very relaxed.
It's very relaxed.
Whereas I can imagine LA is like a bit of a melting pot of.
It's so stressful.
Intense and
so stressful. Deals on, deals off. Yeah. It's incredible,
Do you believe in energies and that, Sylvester? And the law? Have you heard of the law of attraction and putting your mindset of what you think about, you bring into your life? I mean, you first of all, do you believe in the law of attraction? Number two, do you believe in energies, and do you believe that?
Oh yeah.
Have you applied them methods, in your life since you've known about it?
No question about it. There's certain reasons that are laws of energy, the application of charisma and aura. Look at Napoleon. He's 5'2", ruled the world. Caesar, all these people, They had something that was you just cannot bottle or invent. And they were destined. Alexander the Great was this big, ruled the greatest general ever in history. Genius. They still study him today. Why? Because he was of that mindset, and he was born with that fire. But more importantly, he never quit. He never quit on himself. And I'm sure he had issues, and but they managed to put that stuff away. Okay, I'm not very tall. I'm not that, but I'm going to rule my own world, my own destiny. So yeah, I do believe in that. Yes, I do.
Are you a spiritual person at all?
Spiritual, yeah, I am. I think that, but I don't believe in like, oh, it's fate.
But the bottom line is everything is energy, isn't it? Which is crazy if you think about it. Quantum physics, and you know, like you just said about auras, and like when Talia walked in, you had that connection.
No question.
It is. You can meet somebody and you don't get on with them. You don't know why. Yeah. But you can meet someone and it's like, you know, you've been best friends for years.
You love them.
So that's something I've delved into in the last, you know, since I've had my daughter, and, you know, energy and the law of attraction. And I believe, you know, I'm sat here with you today by applying them methods. You know, I read The Secret. I was in the job centre 10 years ago. My wife bought me The Secret. I learned about the aspects of, you know, stop thinking negative. Let's think positive thoughts. Where do I want to go with my life? And I applied them, and we're sat here today, which is
see, that incredible. Was great. Because you had the desire, and she just perhaps helped light the fire. You were just primed to, okay, just point me in a direction, and I can take it. I can take rejection. Just point me. I just need a direction. And then I'm going to keep going until I succeed or die trying. End of story. Well, that is something you're born with. And I think most people in business, the mere fact that they would go into business, they have to understand they're going into the cauldron, and fire hurts, it burns, but it also purifies, and it gives you heat and intensity. So I look at life as like one big, interesting war.
Yeah.
War, because every day you wake up and go, okay, who's going to screw me over today? What problem am I going to have? What am I going to see on the news? Jesus Christ, why are people so effed up? And you go, well, you're a person too, so I guess you're contributing. It's the nature of the beast. It's what civilization is. We are messed up, but we're also incredibly genuine and humanitarian, also the cruelest. I mean, we're such a conundrum. I mean, seriously, that's why every day you got to wake up and go, okay, what's coming?
So while we're on that, Sylvester, what's your morning routine? What do you do when you get up in the morning? Do you have a set routine? Do you go to bed late and get up early, or is it the other way around?
No, I usually it's pretty steady. Lately, I've been getting up a little slower because I'm on my 5th back operation. But other than that, I lay in bed and I go, okay, what I got to accomplish today? Yeah, I don't feel like doing that, but you're going to do it. I don't want to do it. You're going to write today. You're going to reach out to this person. Why? Because this person needs to hear from you. All right? Just reach out a little bit. And then I get downstairs. Wife makes pretty much same breakfast.
Oh, really? What does she make? Tell me what she makes.
It's cottage cheese, 2 eggs, bagel, and some form of meat. And that's it.
So is your diet quite healthy?
Yeah.
In general, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I'll eat the same. In other words, to me, food. I've never been a foodie. Unfortunately, I just don't appreciate it. Just give me a sandwich, because I always wanted to move on to the next thing. Yeah. Restaurants. Oh my God! I'll call the restaurant on the way over. I say, I'll order a steak, potato, things. So by the time
so what is your favorite food then?
Yeah, basic.
We mentioned before about when my wife gave me the book, The Secret, 10 years ago, and obviously it was a divine moment in my life. I want to speak about you and Jennifer because I can see a connection there that reminds me of Adrian and Rocky, to be honest.
It is.
I think, you know, the way she comes with you to our events in the UK when we've done the events, and she's there and you seem to bounce off her. Do you think it's, you know, they say the saying, behind every great man is a great woman. Do you believe that that's true?
Yeah.
And does she ground you, and she, you know, do you run a lot of stuff by her? Is she the boss? She the boss?
Yeah, I have to admit, I used to be pretty tyrannical and tough, and no one's going to take away my individuality, and so I was overstating that a little bit, and I said, wow, this person to put up with your crap has got to be a saint. And then I just started to look at what she could do, and she's a fantastic business person. She's a great mother, great personality, and painfully 99% always right.
Yeah.
That's pissing me off. It's like, whoa, soldier, stop, back it up, wait till tomorrow before you send that text.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I'll erase it.
Yeah.
You know, it's that, you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like, woo. It's like, I'm the horse, she's the good rider. Come on back. And so I really, really, now I've become kind of like a wife groupie.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, don't even mess with her.
Yeah.
You know, because I'll kill you.
And you've got the girls have come along now, you know, they're now, you know, they've got their own personalities, and you can clearly see they're all going to become very successful.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they have the little podcast, and it's tough going because quite often, you know, they'll say, oh, nepotism. Guys, what's wrong with nepotism? What am I going to do? Will I give it to someone else? Of course, that's what you work for. Now, if they can't do it, that's something else. But the door is open. That's what I broke my back for. As we know, life is not getting easier. It's getting more and more overly populated and complex. And Jesus, to get a foothold today, I said, man, to me, the greatest opportunities were in the 80s because people were naive, really naive. Technology hadn't woken up yet. And if you had some sort of foresight, can you imagine? Now you sit back and go, God damn, what did I buy that?
This is when we came in the lift earlier, this is where we could start discussing NFTs, because that is going to be the next big thing. And I've spoken to many people who have said, this is like the next pre.com situation. And if you were to jump on this now, you know, definitely something that's of an interest to me. And I know you've started to hear it, and there was did you go to the art festival the other day in Miami?
No, I didn't, because I was in Germany at my show.
Right, okay, so it's, you know, I think the NFTs and the digital world, it's quite an exciting but scary thing, I think, you know?
Yeah, it is. It's, I don't know, the fact that your money just disappears in a black hole.
The cryptocurrency situation, it's
and there's no way to trace it back. And if you lose your blockchain number, whatever, too bad. See you later.
Crazy, it's crazy.
That's pretty.
And what's your thoughts on cryptocurrency in general? Have you do you know anything about that? No. Just a bit.
Again, it's one of those things where it was offered at $400.
Yeah.
Now you feel like, what is it, like 60,000?
Well, Bitcoin 2013, what was it? It was like,
it's like
£1,000 a coin. Yeah, £500 a coin. Now it's 50,000 a coin.
50. Come on.
I know.
Not talking about missing the boat. You missed the boat, the water, the beach. You missed it all.
Well, that's what they're saying about the NFT situation. And I can't get my head around it because, like we said in the lift, they've got these crypto punks they're paying hundreds of thousands for, you know. And that's another thing. I think people really have to wise up and not think along traditional lines about starting businesses. I think you really have to you have to check out technology. I mean, you can, even on TikTok, there's something to be learned from this, folks. Yeah, you can laugh at it, but it's not a joke. People making massive followings that do the business.
Yeah, so rather than mock it, study it.
We glanced on the art side of things. Obviously, you just come back from Germany. You know, we all saw how massive success it was. You know, we all watched it, our team and experience with. And my question is, are we going to see more of that? Are you going to bring it to the UK? Or the UK fans? We'd love to have if you had an expo in the UK, I can imagine it'd be huge.
Thank you.
I mean, we could even facilitate and help you with that.
No, I will. No, there's no question. But this is the real interesting.
I think you could do it in every country, to be honest.
Well, the thing was, again, overcoming adversity. When you're an artist, you're supposed to be kind of like this pure entity that creates. You can't be an actor, and you can't be a chef, and you can't ride horses. That's the perception. That a celebrity artist is like, oh, okay, that's some guy who draws little stick figures. No. So the first time I had a show over 10 years ago, I was excoriated.
You still get nervous?
oh, yeah, because I know what's going to happen. I know they're going to say this is crap. It's just the knee-jerk reaction. I would almost feel the same way. If someone said to me, Elvis Presley just won the Oscar for Best Actor in an incredible film, The Deer Hunter, I go, come on. He's a singer. He's not a real actor. It's a joke. You tend to rebel. Instead of saying, wow, this guy is a gifted person in that, obviously he has the soul of an artiste. So, of course, he's going to appreciate poetry or the arts, painting, this, that, writing. In other words, all the elements. There's no reason. But human nature is so resistant, or maybe envious, or whatever you want to call it, because I'm the same way. Until I finally said, stop, Sly. There's people that can do more than one thing. Like Tony Bennett sings, but he's a painter. He could have made a living as a painter. You go, oh, he's a singer-painter. Stop. So I was killed in the first reviews. It was like, it was very, oh my God. It's like, I don't know. Satan wrote the reviews. It was like, holy Christ, where does it come from? Hell? No one could, this is so bad. So, but now the reviews have been stunning. So there's a moral message.
You've done it through the art though, haven't you? You've done that Rejection, and then it's bang bang.
You got to stick with it.
I think in Germany the other week, I think you're at that point now where can we go? Where can we take this? Because everyone wants it now.
There it is.
Fascinating.
It's just perseverance.
Yeah. Amazing. And I think all, you know, like I said, the review, we checked the review, social media have gone. So you must be proud.
Oh my God, I'm so.
Must be like a content thing, because it's not filming and it's something you can do at home, and so it's perfect, I should imagine.
The equivalent to the German New York Times, when that gave it a smash review, I went, oh my God, because finally I've come full circle. And I love to put this message out to other people that this is what I'm talking about. You don't expect to get up there and wow them first time out. That's a fluke, you know? It's baby steps. But it's about having this alligator hide and being able to look at your work and go, is it me or is it them? Am I crazy or are they crazy? No, it's just as a prejudicial difficulty on, I think it's human nature to be negative. It's like, prove it, prove it, prove it. You know what I mean? It's so you don't want.
People like to watch fire burn.
They love it. Yeah. Everyone wants to watch the car crash. Yeah. No one wants to see a race where everyone's safe.
Yeah,
it'd be nice, but they're going there.
Yeah,
with the idea of this could be chaos.
Be brutal.
That's why we need comedians.
I just can't wait to see the art come to the UK. Like I said, it's going to be a fantastic success, and a lot of fans, you know, our private members will love that news. So let's quickly jump on to Balboa Productions. How did that come about?
This is something that's about 20 years too late. I should have started this a long time ago. And I did, but at the time my agent oh, you don't want to do that. Just be an actor. And I believe what we just discussed, being a hyphenate, I thought, okay, there's a time to be a producer and try to find other guys like yourself or women and mentor them. So I thought this is where I want to go, because my acting is, you've seen it. It's pretty much it, you know.
It's still amazing now, you know, because of your passion and
the passion is there. It's always going to be there, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of surprises. It's, you know, you look at actors and you say, okay, I've seen him do that. He's really good at it. And what's interesting is I don't think people want to see you change that much. In other words, they come in, they expect, or see Al and De Niro. I don't want him like all of a sudden covered in makeup with a hook and he's like, where is Al? No, there's a reason you're going to see that person, because they appeal to you as themselves. So when you mess it up too much, I think that's more for a character actor who really doesn't have a persona per se. His persona is his talent to immerse himself. A star never can immerse himself. It's just what it is. I don't care. You could do every weirdest accent in the world. Come on. Just, we know it's you. Leave it to the other kind of actors. Be a specialist. I tell people, be a specialist. Just pick one lane. Say, I'm going to be the best action guy ever. That's my goal. Whether I accomplish it or not, that's it. I don't plan on doing, I tried doing comedy, disaster, tried doing Shakespeare, not my thing. This is what you're built for. So be the best at it. Don't worry about this guy got a claim for playing, this individual or this one here did an intellectual performance, because that's what he is. He can't do what you do. Everyone has a distinct ability, and they have to nurture that. Don't say, you can't be. Like, the horrible thing is they train quite often in acting, play the whole spectrum.
I totally get that. And it's like,
you can't.
A good restaurant will only have one page.
Yeah,
exactly. You've got 10, 20 pages trying to do everything.
I'll never forget, there was one place in New York had an omelet place.
Yeah.
It had 550 omelets.
Oh, God.
Mrs., what the hell was it? Madame something. How did you come up with 500 omelets?
Yeah,
there's not 500 different kinds of foods. With an egg? What do you put in it? Hair?
Yeah.
What are you using? Gravel? What more can you add to an egg?
No, I get it.
550. God.
Yeah, quality over quantity.
Yeah, I gave up after the first 240 omelets.
Yeah,
That's it, I'm done.
So you must get lots of pitches and people coming to you with ideas for films, obviously because of Balboa Production. So what makes a pitch stand out? What would make you, if I were to give you a pitch now, what would make you read it and then it's for it to stand out?
Something I can relate to. Like, I like...
How do you get past that first initial? Because obviously it's like a CV when someone's got a job and the boss is getting 100 CVs. They need to make it so it stands out. How do you get to a point of reading a script where you think, this could be something,
Well, I have to use a kind of I don't want to use filtration system, but I have a few people a couple that work for me, they're very like-minded. I say, this is the kind of film I want to make.
So they sort of pick out the best ones.
Action-oriented, man against the system, woman against the system, that kind of people dealing with people. I hate movies about, we have to get the nuclear reactor out of the country before the president shows up. Those, I'm done. But people being oppressed and like Rambo saving this, never about like a bank robbery or about something inanimate, about these poor people or that poor people or the cartel or this. That's what I think the audience can relate to, as opposed to a heist. Some guys are really good at it. I'm not. So once you have that in place, then they look at it and then they send it to me and say, what do you think? Like this one I'm doing with Taylor Sheridan, who does Yellowstone, has the biggest show, period, fantastic, is an interesting take on a gangster who has to go out west. So it's kind of a Sopranos on the west kind of a thing, but it plays into who I am. And he's not like this vindictive, horrible gangster. Kind of like a charming, but can be lethal. Set into this ridiculous world of where he's so alien. He's there in suits. You got cowboys and hippies and people walking around in flip-flops. You go, what am I doing here? And so that kind of thing.
I should imagine you do get a lot of pictures coming in. Or is it not as many as what you'd think?
No, it's not that many because after a while, you've only
got so much time. I mean, we had Mel Gibson for an experience with event, same venue you did in London.
Yeah.
And he was saying about, because obviously now he does a lot more directing than the acting. And, he said he's just got so many ideas, but there's just not enough time to put them into practice.
Oh, him?
Yeah.
I know.
And just so many stuff, offers and scripts. And it's like, there's only so much time, so you can only be selective. Like you've just gone back to about the quality over quantity. So I can imagine it's frustrating.
It is frustrating.
To have like maybe so much, but you will know in a year, you can only do so much.
It's true.
Without killing yourself or, overworking yourself as such.
No, you're right. You're right. To do it actually with yourself, it's time is really of the essence. That's why I love directing, but also hate directing. Because directing is 2.5 years, maybe, of your life. And for what?
Yeah.
Okay, you make a little financial, it's nice, but you're losing. As you know, when you're running a show, the families forget it.
And that's
you're
all
exhausted. Yeah, I know. Everyone suffers for your ambition. So my ambitions have pretty well been satiated. So I don't need.
But I suppose now with the art, you've got that at home.
Yeah.
So you've got the best of the both worlds of being with the family, not having to have that away for 2 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that's all that matters at the end of the day, the family and the wife and the kids. I totally resonate with that. I could speak to you all day, Sylvester. It's been an honour. We're definitely going to have to do part 2 next year. So my final question.
All it takes is dope. Pal.
Anytime, any amount. So my final question is, I just would love you to dig deep now, out of all your career, films, being on set, you know, from the early days to the more current stuff with Expendables, even being on set the other week in London for the Expendables 4. Tell me a funny story, or a story that's maybe not been spoke about before that you find, you know, is a bit interesting. I know I'm putting you on the spot here. But...
Oh my God! Wow, interesting. Well, it's usually it's macabre.
I know I put you on the spot, but you must have some funny.
No, the thing is, like, going back to COVID, I just did a film that's going to come out called Samaritan, where I played this fella who was a superhero, and there was a fella there, a child. And when the COVID, we're going, we're shut down for a year and a half because what's the kid, what's he weigh? Is he not, he's not growing.
Yeah.
He's not, you know, it's like we want to freeze dry him, like put him in a freezer, that kind of thing. So we were so consumed, like how everyone changes in a year and a half, which he did. But the mere fact that everyone's going, can we hold back biology and nature? No, I'm sorry, you're gifted. And the other one was I'm doing that last film, Expendables 4. I come on the set, and I know he's going to get mad.
Is this just the other way?
Yeah, this is the one in London. I come on the set, and I go, what is wrong with this picture? And I'm looking around, I see Dolph, and he has his wig.
Yeah.
I go, what are you doing? He goes, what do you mean? I go, you have a wig on your head. You have beautiful Viking hair.
Yeah.
Nah, I know. I think this is cooler. I go, it's ridiculous. I go, Jason, what do you think it looks like? He goes, like a fucking tumbleweed. I go, it looks like a cat. He goes, cats are much better looking than that. And before you know it, we have a routine going at this poor guy's expense. And we worked this into the movie. I said, if we don't address this wig like it's a joke, and people think that you're serious, which you are, it's going to be horrifying. It's like every time you come on the set or on the screen, people are going to go like, what the fuck is with that wig? And we got to get rid of it and know that you did it because you have a girlfriend who likes the 70s and you wear it for her, even though you never want to meet her. In other words, and it worked, that kind of stuff. But when I came on the set and I saw that, and Jason, I go, this is a horror, but it turned out to be a blessing because we ended up having Dolph, his character, this weird personality. So that's where you take a funny situation and it turns into actually an asset.
Amazing. So yeah, we're going to have to cut this part of the interview off. Thank you so much for your time, Sylvester. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's an absolute honour.